Cool.
Hello and welcome to Midweek Gaming episode number 48. We're back once again. It's a lovely rainy Wednesday in Britain. It is. If you'd like to get a cool gamer picture, please check out www.xboxgamerpics.com and the graphic gods will sort you out. This week we have on Lady Foxfire, currently doing Foxy's tours. How are you doing, lady?
I'm doing well. Hi everybody. How are you? This is really fun. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys on here. I've been watching for a little bit, and I remember you from the past as well, like in the chats and everything in different podcasts. So I can't wait.
Yeah, we're good. It's been watching you for a little bit. I have. I've seen you in many chats. I have anyway,
Yes.
definitely.
I love showing support, listening to different gamers' opinions.
Exactly. Because I remember once you put I had the same experience as you. You know, you put them YouTube shorts up, and you put all that production into a video. And then I was on holiday, and I got a Sea of Thieves mug, right? And I made a crap video, right, on my camera phone, YouTube short. The washing machine was on, just talking about my Sea of Thieves cup, right? 1,500 views. And you had the same thing. You had quite a lot of views just for showing the PlayStation on your camera phone, didn't you?
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, I remember you showing that as well, but I did watch it like when you shared it on Twitter. So I remember that specifically on your Twitter as well. And I had the same experience. I just was at Walmart or something, a store, and I saw the PlayStation in person, and I was sharing it like my thoughts briefly. I was like, "Wow, this thing is humongous," and the video just blew up within hours. It already had like 500 plus views.
Exactly. It works differently to YouTube videos, I reckon. I really do think it works differently. More like a TikTok situation. Organic.
Yeah, probably.
It is.
But it was cool. I got some comments on there, and it's just funny how fast and easy you could do one of those shorts and post it and get that many views compared to like something that you worked on for a couple hours, and then you'll get like 100 views for like the whole week, you know? So it's just funny to me how that works.
It's true. It's strange. I've been terrified to do a short ever since because I don't know if I can match it. I don't know if I can match it.
Well, I recently posted a Zelda and Link statue that I got my partner, and I shared a video and already has 600 plus. So that hey, it's working out. And those same people might be interested in your other content. So who knows?
Exactly. You never know. I might show my Gears of War figures. You never know.
Oh, I would love to see that.
I've not got that many, but some of them are worth a little bit. Yeah.
I have a few. I don't have them out anymore like I used to have them displayed. But when we get a bigger place, because I recently moved in with my partner, I'm going to definitely display them and record some video.
That'll be good. I will. So, anyway, Removable Sanity, how are you doing?
Are you there? I am in there. I'm just double hoping that I don't sound like a helicopter or something that's very dodgy. What everyone's been telling me.
But no, it's you're all good, yeah.
Oh, good. Yep. Not so bad. We're a bit like everyone else, playing games, avoiding Twitter spats.
Oh God, I'm getting sick of it. Wish Twitter would just delete it. It's a stupid thing.
It has its benefits. Plus, I get to meet good people like Firefox on, so.
Exactly.
What can I say?
Exactly. And let's go with Cerebral Paul. How are you doing? I don't know if he's there. I'll go to VJ. Yeah, VJ, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Mr. Stubbs. Thanks for having me on the show. I must say,
really fantastic having Miss Fox on the show today. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to her opinions. I don't think I've ever podcasted with her or heard any of her opinions, so it should be really refreshing, hopefully.
Good to hear. She's definitely.
Sorry, I was muted. I wasn't ignoring you. I was muted.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Same thing, really.
Yeah.
Semantics, Paul. Semantics.
Yeah, I was. Well, no, I was doing what VJ does. I was just waiting to hear my name, and then I'll pay attention.
That's it. There you go.
So I'm doing good. I was gonna say, if you want your videos to get a lot of views really quick, just title it something like "It's so big" and just go with that, and whatever it is, people will check it out.
Yeah, they probably will. Yeah.
Let's see. What have I been doing? I have been a whole lot of nothing. Just my usual stuff, playing different games here, there, and everywhere. And I'm looking forward to tonight again with Lady Foxfire. I think this is the second show we've done together.
Yes.
And she always has something interesting to say. So
yeah,
here we go.
Good Morning Xbox is really fun. I did that with you guys, and the last one you guys did was hilarious. So I enjoyed this
like that
as well.
Yeah, they like it when I get heated. I think they do it on purpose. How can we? How can we make Paul yell at people?
Yeah,
they know what to say. I bet they know what to say.
Mute his mic.
But yeah, no, it's been a fun show. I've got a few topics today. Also going to talk about it, but VJ said he wanted to talk about it. Lady Foxfire, I'll ask you first. What do you think? It's not a big major topic, just a mini one. What do you think about God of War going to PC? Is it end of the world?
Well, according to Twitter, yes, I should be angry. According to Twitter, this means that PlayStation's dead. It's ridiculous. I've seen so many people sharing their opinions, even making Twitter spaces, which, wow, there's people out there that have that much time on their hands. Is interesting.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some guys on Twitter, I'm swear to God, I look throughout the day and that they're on there. They must have their phone plugged in. They're on Twitter spaces for 5, 6, 7 hours. What? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're doing marathons, 12-hour, 24-hour marathon. It's crazy. But yeah, I heard about God of War going to PC soon, on January 14, I believe. And I was like, cool, more gamers get to play. That was my first initial thought. And then I saw everybody arguing and stuff, and people calling out other consoles, whatever. And I was like, it's not that big a deal. People are making this bigger than it is. Like, it is cool. It's good news. But it shouldn't be the only thing that everyone talks about all day. I just think that if it was like Xbox, where the game is coming date and date, that's bigger news. That would be amazing. If God of War Ragnarok is coming date and date with PC and PlayStation, I would definitely understand why people would be talking about that all day. But this is the one that came out already on the PlayStation 4. It's not a big deal. I mean, if you missed out on it for some reason, cool. If you have a rig, a PC, then you can play it on there. And it's awesome. More people to try PlayStation exclusives. And then if they really fall in love with the franchise, who knows? It might get them to buy the PS5, and then they could get the new one on launch. No big deal. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. And I would say if you actually had a beast rig, as they say, like PC, you'd probably be able to experience it in a lot higher resolution, graphics, etc. Your experience would be even more improved if you got one of these so-called beast rigs. I'm not a PC guy. I don't know.
Yeah, me either. But I mean, if you do have it, you could experience it at its full potential, So I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I think it's another way for Sony to get some gamers in on their franchises as well, especially if they missed out on it.
That's true. Yeah, no, very, very good opinions on that one. It is, yeah. VJ, I know you were keen to talk about this a little bit.
I can go last if you want, but I normally do.
No, you're all right. You can.
Sure.
I'm sure you won't have that.
I think, okay, then. I think from I did have some notes, but I think I've lost them. But anyway, I think game development is not cheap, and I think building out a studio and funding it and paying the salaries over in Santa Monica is not cheap, especially when you've got so much competition over there. And obviously, with the initiative opening up, I think Google's opened up a studio. I think they've actually rented space from a Sony building, over there. But
okay.
and because they're all vying for talent, the price or the recruitment price and the salaries have just gone through the roof. And I think from Sony's perspective, even Xbox's perspective, perhaps to a lesser degree, is that if you're selling 10 million copies of a game and you know that your console is going to sell 100 million units at most, and just giving random numbers there, but if they can sell another 5, 10, 15, 20%, which starts to anything from 500,000 to another 2 million units on another landscape, or another device, then it just makes sense, right? And it's all just going to get plowed back into the Sony machine. And I'm surprised it's taken this long. And for me, I think, was it releasing in January? I think I saw on Miss Fox's timeline that I think it's a perfect timing for them, right, to build the PR. Or build up the PR and awareness towards God of War 2 releasing somewhere around next summer. That's where I think it will release. Whether it does or not, I don't know. But whatever the release date, the summer release date for it seems to be Sony's sort of current calling card, right? And it's sort of got, that's their sort of alternative marker, or perhaps even a significant alternative, right, or answer to E3, which they now very rarely or don't seem to that they're ever going to return to it. And they're sort of releasing games, I think, over the last 4 years, including this year, in and around the summer period. And I think it's absolutely fantastic for the industry. But I mean, listening to you just sort of like in just prior to going live, right? With I mean, I'm not surprised that there's a segment of the audience, and obviously, Twitter's not, a massive percentage of people out there that disagree with rational business decisions, shall we say. But but when I stopped sort of responding on Twitter a long time ago, and I only joined so I could keep up with the podcasts I was on and make sure I could access it, because I used to ask people to just send me the notes via email, and people would ask me, what's that? Anyway, but I think that to a varying degree, when you take a really sort of a step back from it and just take a bird's eye view or a macro view of it, you can just see, right, that there's a generation or a segment of people that have been conditioned, right, and through their education, through society, or through whatever their life's been, right, to be kind of like almost like selfish mercenaries, right? And we all act that way sometimes during the day, right? I don't know to what degree, and sometimes it's actually unintentional, perhaps, right? But it's basically sometimes it's like pull the ladder up and sod the rest. And I think this approach of be better than the next person, strive to be ahead and above your neighbor and whatnot. And it hasn't really got us anywhere, right, as a society, right? I mean, hunger, illiteracy, exploitation, concentration, people's concentration, attention spans, the need to control. It's like more prevalent in everything, and it used to be about things that used to affect nations, and now it's all about having a debate about plastic boxes, and it's just it really is like, I don't know if this is the saying that people still remember, but handbags at dawn, shall we say? I'm sure you guys have all heard it.
Yep.
Right? So, and for me, whether it's God of War, The Last of Us 2, the remake, whatever that's rumored to be coming out, even Ghost of Tsushima coming to PC, I'm all for it. And I just hope, because I know Phil's sort of talked and shared these sentiments publicly, right, in interview, right, just to, if this is a subtle route for Sony, PlayStation, I don't know Nintendo's objectives, but if that is a pathway to help sort of abolish idiocy and ignorance in society, especially amongst gamers who have never had it better, have never known when, back in the 90s, there'd be so few releases, right? You'd have to actually have a wall calendar, if you know what that is, and a pen and a paper, and mark the date down to when that game was releasing. We didn't have mobile phones in those days, right? Telling us, go and pre-order at GameStop, right? So it's a very, very different time right now. And we know, right, we see how much people take for granted. But I think personally, it's all got to be towards inclusivity, and that's what I applaud rather than division. And I think that as a society, the quicker we move away from division and towards inclusivity, I just think that the gaming space will be just that much better for it. So that's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with that. It's
Well said.
Yeah, very well said. Cerebral Paul, have you got any thoughts on
Yep.
God of War coming to PC?
Actually, I hadn't been on my PC all day. First, I heard of it. Great news, because it's the only way I would play the game.
Oh, you'll love it, Paul. You'll love it.
But that's a good thing.
It is,
And that's what I want to say. You know, depending on how well this goes, and I think it's going to go over very well when it hits the PC. I think there's going to be some people in the Sony boardroom going, "We should have done this years ago," and giving the side eye to those guys that are going, "No, we need to stay console only. You know, we need to stay exclusive," because this is going to bring in so much revenue for them that I wonder why they haven't done it up till now. You know, because it is a revenue base, it is a revenue source, and it's a big one. You know,
Yes,
second only
it is
to mobile
massive.
gaming. You know, because
Yeah,
like I said, I've only ever. Oh, go ahead, VJ.
Yeah, Paul, no, I think you make a good point there. I think if you look at the way that society is, Paul, you can't show people a better way these days. You've just got to lead them gently. Otherwise, there's just such a reaction. And to be fair to Sony, I think Corey came out about a year, maybe 18 months ago. Forgive me, I don't know the time frame exactly. I mean, I'm a huge God of War fan. I don't know if you guys know, but Corey said suddenly on a tweet or in an interview that he would love to see God of War on PC. And
Did he? Interesting.
2018, and it was a tweet. Yeah, but he said it was above his pay grade.
Yeah. But you see, it's no corporation can hide from public scorn, Paul. You know it, but you're on more podcasts than me. You know this better than anyone, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's the gentle, and lead towards it rather than drag people and force the horse to drink, so to speak. But yeah, sorry.
Right, that slower transition. It's easier pill to swallow.
But I would love to understand the mindset of the fighting against it. That part I don't get.
No,
because even the Sony fanboys should be thrilled that this is happening. This is going to get more people into the games that they love. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, more support for the title means more titles in the future.
And I say it, one day they will be at that Xbox level where it's day and date PC. You don't care what anyone says. One day it will be here. Maybe not next year, maybe not, but one day it will happen.
Yeah, from Sony's perspective, they just can't afford to upset the apple cart, right? They've got to take the gently approach. I think Miss Fox just said something, actually a perfect line that she mentioned just now. I do forget what she said, but yeah, she said it perfectly.
Whatever it was perfect.
The base. What they're doing is they're
so perfect. You forgot about it.
Actually, no, it's just that I had to go and close the door because all sorts of going on downstairs. So.
They're softly changing the mindset of their fan base. Like even with Jim Ryan, the stuff he's subtly he's saying more and more things, but he's being very careful. So he's changing the way. And in the end, it will be just like Xbox, how Xbox does their business, but he's doing it gently. He's trying to change the idiot's mind, the fanboy's mindsets. So in the end, he will do it. It's just a slower approach.
Yeah, it's actually a marketing technique, right? I forgot what the exact word, but it's like a reprogramming or a reformatting or a re-educating your customer base, right?
Xbox did the same. If you'd have told me 10 years ago, or 15, however long ago it was on the 360, that 2 consoles time, or even on Xbox One, downloading a game and buying it would be a normal thing, and there'd be a service called Game Pass, I would have told you to shut the up, basically. You're crazy. Do you know what I mean?
I don't believe it.
Yeah, but they've done it, haven't they? Yeah.
So, actually, sorry, the word is remodification that they use in marketing of your audience, right? And sorry.
Muppet saying slowly catchy monkey. Is that what you said, Fox?
No, it's far more eloquent what she said. It's doing her a disservice.
Yeah. Well, Monkey's got a new Muppet would have a version of it. Removable. You got any opinions on that? But it's been covered, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been pretty much covered. But again, I've been an advocate not just for. I've been an advocate for all platforms, exclusivities to come to different platforms. Okay, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, but I don't really see there's a reason for exclusives to be there for 3 or 4 years and then just make their ways gradually to other platforms. I don't see the necessity of just hoarding it. As you said, it not only does it widen the audience to other people, as you said, it might also help people transition over to those platforms, but also it's going to be a good for game preservation and modification, and in later years remasters. If this is out there into a bigger market, it's only going to help that further down the line. So I'm all up for even any platform's exclusivities being made. Okay, years down the line maybe, but years down the line to other platforms. I'm 100% for it.
You just something you said there, removal. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, set games free, right? Instead of people, on Twitter imposing morality where it's really not. It's just. I don't know. I just find it just quite funny, really, quite unintelligent, really just very much low rent opinions, right? But anyway, I'm sure Mr. Stubbs wants to move on and be able to get up tomorrow morning, so I'll just shut up.
Yeah, No, it was a good topic. I thought I'd just mention it because everyone's been.
It's your panel that makes your topics wonderful, sir.
Yes, it is definitely. And I'll just do a few shout outs to the chat. Welcome to Indie Gamer, 108's Dragons TV, Muppet as well. Hello. Cerebral Paul, as you're in there as well. It's the thing I do, Lady Foxfire, as you probably know. Safu, Masuku. Let's go a list a bit more. Lady Foxfire. Let's go further up the list. VJ.
Hello.
I don't know if I'm saying this one right. Another one. Perrin Pluck. I'm probably saying that wrong. I am. Back from the dead. Welcome. Hunter the Tailored Corgi. Hello. I think that's a fan of your Lady Foxfire because they put a picture of Fox in. So I'd say that's someone you know.
Yes, Hunter.
Let's go up the list. I think I've covered everyone. Welcome and thanks for stopping in. So we've got another topic here. This is a PlayStation topic, by the way. It's not. It's just another one of these things that basically Blue Box Game Studios are taking actions against people that have been giving them death threats, which isn't very nice. Here's a little bit from the statement they made. The last few days have been very difficult. The post continued to say the death threats are increasingly online, but unfortunately also physically, and this has to stop. This not only affects us as a team, but everyone within our environments, other businesses, families, and everyone around us. Blue Box has also stated in the post that it won't tolerate the threats, and they will take action by handing IP addresses, logs, and camera footage down to the relevant authorities. We are fully aware that of the negative situation we have created, and we truly understand your frustrations. But we don't understand are the death threats. So yeah, that's very interesting. That is, I know they created a really bad, basically, situation where they insinuated everybody they were making Silent Hill. They did by the hints they sent out.
Yeah.
Now it sounds pretty extreme because I know they put IP addresses, but they put camera logs. That means they're turning up to people's houses or studios to like threaten people, like because they mentioned camera footage. So some people are going to some extreme.
Yeah, but that could also be TikTok people as well. It doesn't also be. Yeah, it's not necessarily just.
I just think it's bad in general. That I mean, give him any kind of. It's just a bloody game at the end of the day. We're only end of the day. We are gamers, but we're just customers. You just wait till the game comes out. They don't need to threaten people. Right?
You know, CD Projekt Red got the same response. So have other developers. You know, and it's ridiculous. It's an absolutely ridiculous, out of mind response with reality. You know,
if you send death threats to anyone, you are a moron.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, I had a friend a few years ago, and I won't say who we won't. And basically, we used to all play Black Ops 4 together. And I told him to delete the tweet. I said, "You have to." I said, "You have the intelligence services at your front door if you don't delete that tweet." Well, he put something along the lines of, "I want to chop your head off," to somebody. I was like, "You stupid!" He deleted it, and I says, "You don't do that ever again." And he never has done. But I said, "You're lucky." I says, "That tweet could still have been seen." I said, "You could have had the police at your front door." Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I won't say who it was. It's nobody in our gaming community. It's someone I know locally. They're not like that anymore. They just got annoyed. But I said, "Don't do stuff like that. It's not needed. You can, if they took action, you could get arrested for that."
Mm-hmm.
Especially in our country.
You're going to an extreme, unnecessary extreme. For what? Because you got heated for a couple minutes, and that can ruin the rest of your life. I mean, it's idiotic.
Yeah, it's stupid. It is. It's just.
I understand why people are upset with this so-called studio that hasn't released a single game, from what I'm seeing.
Hello, sorry, I just pop in there. This is the studio that made the Demon Souls remake, I believe.
Oh no, that's Big Blue Box.
Oh, sorry, I got it wrong.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Isn't
isn't
this a studio that promised Abandoned?
Or promises a lot of stuff. This is the promise is a lot of stuff and never seems to make anything.
They've even done Kickstarters and haven't delivered. Right, so they have a bad reputation. It still doesn't obviously justify any threats or anything like that. That's just dumb. But I mean, I understand why people are frustrated with them, and they're getting bad press. They deserve it if they're not delivering what they've been promising people that have given them money for Kickstarters, or if they're teasing Silent Hill-like games, and obviously that was a flat-out lie. I understand that, but to threaten people in the studio or anything like that, developers, it's a waste of time. It's dumb. It shouldn't be done. It's disgusting.
You know what I do with that studio in particular? I think I've blocked them. I don't even look at what they have to say because I've got no interest. I've got no trust that they're ever going to come through with anything they say. So why even bother even thinking about them? You know, it's a waste of brain power. You know.
It is interesting though, but am I wrong? Have I got this mixed up? Was this studio picked up by PlayStation, or have I got two studios mixed up there?
Two studios mixed up.
I have. That's where I've gone wrong there. It's look, I didn't read out what I wrote. I got that mixed up.
Cerebral doesn't like me. Yeah. Tushy's big.
No, it's in general. It's bad. It's like over the Gears of War Camp Coalition has a lot of problems with that kind of thing. The community managers don't generally last long because when the gamers don't like a certain tweak that's been made to the game, they have to DM them a load of abuse to do things like that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's a society thing, isn't it? Let's face it. It's something. No one's really told people not to type what you think online. They haven't learnt that kind of subtext because again, this is a new thing in relation to our society, but no one's really learnt to stuff like don't do something stupid, because we all do stupid things when we're kids. We all do certain things stupidly, and normally something happens back to us and we learn pretty quickly not to do it. With the anonymity online, you kind of don't get that instant backlash. Well, sometimes you do, depending on where it is, but you don't learn very quickly. It's never been really told to someone. As far as I'm aware of, there isn't really much in the way of education of how to be, I wouldn't say a decent person, but a decent human being online, or just don't type everything you think online.
Right, they're missing that filter. They need that filter in their life.
Yes, I think as you get older, you learn to have a filter in your head. You start to realize
it's the opposite. It's the opposite. By about 70, I will have no filter. Okay, I'm just.
Admittedly, in your case, you're already there. I think. That's
a personal choice, Paul.
But it's a fun choice. It's a fun choice.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It is. But you can see what I'm saying. You know, you normally, as you go through life, in real life, you learn very quickly not to say things to other people because there are quite, consequences for your actions. In online, there are certain things that are consequences for your actions, but it's not learned as quickly enough. And until society learns probably to educate those up and coming not to do certain things, people sometimes just forget and just do stuff. But it shouldn't be, again, this is no excuse for sending death threats. I will reiterate the original point. If you send death threats, you are a moron, and a lot worse, trust me. But I guess the only thing I can think of is that they're doing it out of a quick reaction.
Mm-hmm. That's why
stupid reaction.
You're angry for a couple minutes, but it might affect your life. Like they're not thinking it through. And it's pretty sad because they think they can hide behind this fake name, right, and a fake image, but ultimately people can find you, and they don't know that.
Oh,
they can, because the same thing happened in Britain, where basically removal might be more. Remember more about this. Basically, there was a football match where England played. I can't remember who now at the minute, and he missed a goal. He missed a goal, and this bloke online sent him a load of racial abuse online. The police found him and he got arrested for it. He did.
Yeah, because they can get you through your IP address and so it just certain means.
Yeah, so it just proves that if they want to find you, they can find you. Mm-hmm. It does.
Well, and even then, I don't understand. You're saying you get mad from it. Why are you getting? Unless you're one of the people who's given them hundreds, maybe thousands of bucks for one of their Kickstarters and haven't seen jack, then you might have a standing to be upset with them. Not enough to threaten them, but whatever. But to the general gamer, no general gamer should be pissed off because some game's not coming out. At least to that level. You can be upset about it in a level of, oh darn, I'm not going to get to play that game in April. But I don't see anything beyond that,
Well, some of these people, they do their passions. They're so passionate, it sometimes short circuits the common sense part of their brain, and that doesn't just happen in gamers. That happens in a variety of fan-based situations. Football. Sometimes it could be theatre. Sometimes it could be anything from music. You get so overly passionate. The common sense part somehow just seems to disappear, and so your emotion takes over. And I'm not saying this is a good thing, but that's the only way I can see it. Sometimes your passion overrides the common sense part of your brain.
Look,
in the way I work, sometimes I have to send emails, and if Anime is here, he'll probably kind of back me up on this. I literally don't send my email on the first or second or third draft. I read it carefully, because sometimes, if I'm having a bad day, I might want to send an email to my boss, but then I kind of look at it and think, well, that's probably not worded quite correctly. Let's try and tone it down a little bit. And then I'll read it again. It's like, that's still a little bit more aggressive than I probably should be. Let's tone it down again, And it's that thing you start to learn to kind of like, slow down, calm down. You can get too passionate and too over emotional in your responses sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. It's for a lot of people, it's heat at the moment, and it's too late by that point when it's already been sent. It has. It's not a nice part.
Like when Tushy got upset that that Justin Bieber hit didn't drop as fast as he wanted it to, but
he was livid, absolutely livid. Trust me.
Like Safu says, I mean, this is a thing that a lot of governments have tried to push for, but if Facebook or Twitter, even YouTube, told its users that they would have to use their real names to use services, they would lose millions of users. That's what I think it means. But UK government actually suggested this, and it wasn't like they made out, oh, we're going to make this law. But what it actually was is they went to Facebook and suggested it to them. And I don't think Facebook agreed with them. So it was brushed to the side. No company is gonna actually say, yeah, we'll do it. they won't, because a lot of people just delete their accounts and not use it ever again. That's what they fear. You see.
Yeah, I think they would lose.
Real quick, Black Rider, if you're going to do spaghetti on the grill, make sure that the noodles don't slip down between.
That's new on me. Spaghetti on a barbecue. That's very different. That is.
I'm assuming he means he's just going to heat the pot up over the fire.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, not just,
he's not dangling spaghetti strings across the grill. I need to turn that one spaghetti. Oh, that's going to be crispy on one side.
Yeah, that's what he means. Put the pot on top of it. Yeah. But no, yeah, just hopefully one day this kind of crap stops. But there's always some muppet online. Not you.
I think it's education.
Reference.
I think it's education. You know. Remember, we've kind of walked into social media. It appeared kind of out of nowhere, and it's quickly evolved into our everyday lives. When you get up, what's the first thing you put on? Social media. It's probably the very last thing you put on. Social media. And no one's really told you, and even like those who've grown up with social media, you're probably not really, unless you've got kids. Even now, you are probably you're trying to find your way through it, let alone teach your kids how to find your way through it effectively. So it's a progress thing, and I think it will get better. I think it will get better, but it's one of these things that it'll evolve over time, and it's one of those things that, I think if you believe it will get better, and you kind of as a society try and do things better, it will get better. I have faith, but I'll look on the bright side. Others may disagree with me.
He always looks on the bright side of life. Oh, sorry.
That's right.
No, you are right. You are. It's Timmy. Welcome. Also, we've also got Transformational Gamer. Good to see you live. I always see you in the comments, leaving good feedback. I appreciate the support. Z Black Rider. Welcome. I don't think so. And Dragon Wolf, how are you doing? And ukdazarus, why are you awake now? Go bed, sir. Go bed. Thanks for stopping in. But yeah, no, some good points on that. Hopefully this kind of stuff ends one day. And welcome, Matt Barnes. But it's just all that world we live in now.
You want to end Matt Barnes? Jesus, Stubbs.
No. Matt Barnes is a good bloke. I'd say VJ probably doesn't wake up with social media and end his night with social media. Am I right there, VJ?
Sorry, what was that?
I would say you don't start your day with social media and end it with
green tea, a cup of tea, maybe a bacon sandwich.
I don't have a phone, so until I get
did you know, Lady Foxfire? VJ doesn't actually own a phone.
I just use the missus phone. So,
when I ring him, it's his missus phone when we speak.
You have to reach him by pigeon.
Yeah.
Owl.
Email.
Owl, yes, owl,
on the computer.
But I just wanted to say quickly on that topic, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not an expert; it's just my thoughts. But I think what's been reported, or again, I don't know if it's absolutely true or accurate, right? I think it just, yeah, and that's partly why I'm not on Twitter, other than checking DMs or whatever for links to shows and stuff. There's a huge level of intolerance these days, right? And it's growing, right? Whether it's a section of society or individuals, and it's really shocking. It's a good thing that these people sending these threats are not judges, because they'd probably hang you before the oath. So, but I think ignorance and prejudice and overreaction is the prerogative and right of many, so it seems, and they feel it's their right to do so. And to your point, Remover, what I think it was you who said it, but I think I'm going to take a leaf out of your book, because what you would normally say, that there's just look at it from the other point of view, right? Like, why people are acting like this, right? There's got to be a reason for it, right? You've got to look at that, right? You can't just dismiss it or marginalize them out of society. It's not going to work, and you have to re-educate them and bring them back in. So, but obviously, it's clear to see what they're doing, right? There's a real lack of compassion, decency, I think, which Miss Fox mentioned, composure or thoughtfulness, right, in and amongst people's management of thought, right? It's it is definitely a lack of education and enlightenment, and it's difficult to. I mean, we're all doing it to a degree, but you can see when it goes to something as extreme as reactionary comments, it's almost like you're on autopilot, right? You're not in control of your mind, and you're not in control of your thoughts, and that's got to be a really difficult place to be, right? And how do you fix it, right? And I don't know the answers. It's probably a completely different podcast for that. But and then from a studio's point of view, you can learn from the situation and perhaps share it with other studios, and be careful and mindful in the future, because you understand that you're in business, and you're public facing, and you've got to navigate the big wide world with all its ups and downs, right? And in terms of the minds involved that are putting this stuff out, right, or spewing out whatever they feel is necessary, right, to what end is quite difficult for many of us to sort of I don't know, fathom, right? Would that be a right word to use? So, but I think it's I think it's obvious to see that it's just quite hostile, right? When you read those sort of words, or when you even read the topic that Mr. Stubbs sort of said, oh, death threats, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be something hostile. But at the same time, it's like it sends a shudder through you, right? It's because it's very different when you receive the message yourself and you read it versus hearing about it and then talking about it on a second hand, right? Especially if you faced it, then you really know, even if it's just words on a screen, right? And it's really quite destructive sort of behavioral patterns, right? And the thing is, it seems like every other week this is happening, right? And I'm just wondering if re-educating people is the answer, whether it's societies or governments, and they want to invest in this sort of thing. I don't know whether they care or not, right? And but there's more avenues to go out and fixate yourself on somebody, right, and cause them misery, right? And that just goes to my last point, which is that there's two types of people that I've typically come across in my few decades on this planet. Well, more than a few, but I'm just trying to preserve my age here a little bit. I'm very fossilized. So there's two types of people that you come across. There's not good or bad. There's either you're a joyful person or you're a very miserable person, and there's obviously contrasting degrees to that, right? And some find solace in spreading their misery and that type of energy and affect other people. But and there's obviously many, and I would hope anyway, at least from the few people that I know, is that hopefully I surround myself with the people that are the very opposite of that, right? And as I say, I'm not an expert, but surely something needs to be done, right, to help everyone involved.
That's true.
I'll just shout.
Very good points, VJ.
Oh, thank you.
I'll
get a gold star.
And thanks to Daz. I won't be reading, repeating them comments, but it's always good to see you, mate. So next one is it might bring up some points from the first topic, but I seen an interview on the games industry .biz YouTube channel. It was a interview with Sony Entertainment Interactive CEO and president Jim Ryan. He talked about hinted at future plans and what he wished for, and shared some past stories and how he started off at PlayStation. Now, I've noticed over some podcasts when some people have taken how Jim Ryan was as negative. He was a bit of an ignorant person. And some people have taken it the way of it's a good interview. I mean, I took it as a good interview. I couldn't see where he was being ignorant, but I've got a different viewpoint on it. So, Lady Foxfire, did you manage to watch this interview or get the gist of it?
Yes.
Any opinions on this?
I saw it a while ago, and I thought it was a decent interview. I think I know what you mean, that some people are negative about it because they don't like the way that I guess the way he's trying to lead PlayStation over to the same way as Xbox. I think that's what you are referring to. But besides that, I liked the interview. I watched it, talked a little bit about it on TXR, and in one of my videos I mentioned it briefly. So I think this is a good thing because what it seems like he wants it's more gamers to play Xbox games, Xbox story-based games, right? The single player experiences that you could only get on the PlayStation. Sorry. So I was like, oh, this is great because maybe he could revitalize the PlayStation Now, and put more games into that, and have that more like like a Game Pass type of service, right? Where PlayStation gamers will have access to those games day and date. Now I know that obviously now God of War and Uncharted and things like that, Death Stranding, they're all going to PC. But they're all going to PC like years later, right? So that's nice. I don't think they're gonna speed that up right now. I think they're good on like the way that they're leading that, and they might do that for a couple years longer. And then eventually they might do what you were saying, which is day and date on PC. Who knows? But right now, I think they should focus on the service that they have themselves, which is PlayStation Now, and bring that back to life and do date and date on that, because there's a lot of PlayStation gamers in the PlayStation that don't play those exclusives, the God of Wars and the Uncharteds and things like that, because they're not that interested in it because they want to play those multiplayers or those multiplats within the PlayStation, like the casual gamers, right? So I think that if they had access to it, like on PlayStation Now, they would play it more, and then he could have those numbers go up. Because I believe he was saying like 10 million, and he wants hundreds. So like 100 million, I mean, you need more people to access your game, and obviously not just on PC. Yeah.
Sorry, he was speaking basically. He was talking about the average exclusive sales like 10 to 15 million, whereas he'd rather hundreds of millions experience it. He would.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the ethos Xbox is having.
Sorry, go on. No, sorry, I'm going to wait till I speak. Sorry, go on, Karen.
So I mean, I think this is a good thing to want to progress like these numbers, to want to expand the gamers that you have playing your titles, right? So my main thing when I heard that was awesome. I want to see this implemented into PlayStation Now, and eventually mobile, and eventually what they're doing with PC already, but like more frequently. That would be great. And then you could see those numbers, and you could see that hype for those titles even more than you already do, because everybody knows like most of those are really quality games, right? I mean, I know for a fact that not everybody like Days Gone or Death Stranding, but I know way more people within the communities of PC and Xbox that will go out of their way and play Horizon, Uncharted, right? And Gran Turismo. They love that stuff. So I think it's great if they did that for PlayStation Now. They also hired somebody recently to lead their mobile department to push more PlayStation Studio titles, I believe. So I thought that was actually a good thing for him to share, for him to say, and it just kind of like a little warning. Hey, this is what we want to do, and we're gonna expand, type of thing. That's the feeling that I got out of the interview.
Yeah, no, because I think what he's trying to ease the fan base into that kind of way of thinking, that's the way to be. Because if you watch the previous earnings call or the one before, there was one recently where they actually put in their vision, and their plan is literally to offer games on PC and have a service like they didn't say Game Pass, but a service just like it to recurring revenue streams they had by I know what to explore mobile one, basically anywhere they can get a gamer, get the gamer. But I think it's a long term. I think it's going to take quite a few years, but I think basically that's their vision, because in the end, PlayStation Now has never been great, but they were the first to bring out a service on the console like it, but it just never went very far.
But that's the thing. They can bring life to it again. They could fix that. It doesn't have to be that was an old service and it never took off. It could be okay, they've fixed it. They've added more to it, like when they let you download the games instead of just streaming them, right? I know that with selective games, but still, like a lot of people were talking about that in a positive light and I think that they could still keep adding and fixing that service that they have themselves.
Easy.
I mean, even if they don't want to.
Because I think, say for instance, say they had and just said, right, all the exclusives now we have on the platform are now in the service, and they won't be limited to 3 months. They'll be staying in there. And I think if they said, right, every exclusive day and date, I reckon overnight you get millions of people sign up for it.
Agreed.
And I go a step further. I know people don't like movies to be included, but if they included all their latest Spider-Man, I wouldn't say once they've gone to DVD and Blu-ray, if they included them like Venom and Spider-Man movies, all their IP into the service as well, I think that'd be an added bonus kind of thing, which they already experimented with, I believe, in Poland, that kind of thing. So I think that'd be good.
Right, the Sony picture stuff, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good thoughts on that, Lady Foxfire. Thanks for that. I think Removal wanted to jump in there, I think.
I was just about to kind of say, look, I've said it. I think I said this.
Removable at the deep end.
Yeah. I was about to say, I said this when I first joined. I said it a couple of times. I think I've said this numerous times. PlayStation Play Pass. It should just happen.
Yes.
I don't care, Jim. I don't care how it does. Just do a PlayStation Play Pass. Exactly what you guys have been saying. I don't see what the downside could be, to be honest with you. I don't see what the downside could be. It'll be a service. So what if it's a service similar to Game Pass? As long as it's providing quality games, quality service, it's only going to be beneficial to the PlayStation community. So what if it is similar to Game Pass? Doesn't matter. It's for PlayStation games. It's, as you said, exclusives that stay on there, movies, all that. I think should be ramped up. And you're right, they did do it first. So maybe that's what they've got in their minds, as Jim said, and everything. Maybe in his head, that's what it is. It's an evolution of their service now. And maybe again, it's part and parcel of this slowly moving them towards this goalpost. Which he has in mind. Again, I don't see why they can't do something similar. It's only going to benefit them.
Because they had early plans, because obviously they launched PlayStation Now, but before that they acquired Gaikai.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So they were very forward thinking. Just it never went very far, did it?
Right.
On their part.
No. I think the one thing when I was on this PlayStation system, one of the areas I really loved was their social hub network. And it was I can't think what it's called now, but it was you take an avatar and and you could go in. You had your own little house, and you could go out into this little hub and talk to people. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I don't know why they got rid of it. It was okay, maybe it's like it was.
But the interesting thing about. Sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say the interesting thing about that is that they keep renewing like the what is it called when you renew the rights or the name or.
Oh, yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they keep renewing it, so it's still alive in their back catalog. They could bring it back at any point. I know so many people that are interested in that, but go ahead. Sorry.
That was amazing, though, wasn't it? I think it sounds like you was part and parcel of one of those as well. It was literally you had your little avatar. You'd wander around. You'd have a chat. You could then buy furniture for your little house that you could take people to and have a party with in it. And it was amazing.
And you had mini games.
Brilliant.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. I don't know. I can only assume it was It was. I think I remember correctly. I remember reading it was a bit expensive at the time, and it was funds. They were moving elsewhere to try and keep it up. But if today's system with cloud-based servers, if you imagine that, it even better than it is now. Doing a cinema experience with your avatar. In your avatar world, with your home, with your PlayStation friends, or even as you said, playing a game with them.
Or can you imagine if you add the movies to the service, you could watch a movie with them?
Well, they did. Didn't they do that? I'm sure they did. Where you could.
They used to premiere like trailers and stuff within PlayStation Home, like on the giant screens within the game, within like that little service. Social hub and stuff. So people used to watch.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is now they could actually do. You can invite. You can invite people to your house, and you could have a movie night.
Well, they do share games, don't they? So they could do a share movie.
Yeah.
It would be a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, and they had
I
mini
think,
games
yeah.
and stuff. You could play bowling and different things
Yeah.
like that as
Yeah.
well. So
I
they
think-
did
I
have
think-
different things.
I think part of the issue is they don't have the patience for stuff to grow out. They want instant, immediate. This is a hit. They don't have the patience to let things develop on their own. That's why a lot of things they start, they don't tend to finish. You know.
I don't know. I think on that occasion it was more of a case it was funds.
Well,
I
yeah,
think, to be honest with you, they were. I think when they implemented that, they were well ahead of the curve, and it was just
Well,
that there wasn't
that-
enough bandwidth. There weren't enough people.
Yeah.
Well, there was, but
That-
there weren't enough people doing
yeah.
what they wanted. And
That was early.
Was,
That was early in their party chat development too. When it really wasn't.
Yeah,
PS3,
it was.
Are we talking
Yeah.
PS3 days? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
everything was,
yeah.
So
So
PlayStation, everything was free online then. So
Yeah.
they had no revenue stream like PlayStation with the gold. So they were losing money on that front.
Well, and it
But-
wasn't that great of a system. That wasn't when it was
Yeah.
still kind of so-so. The
Yeah.
social aspect of it was, it was no Xbox Live.
Oh, I know.
let's put it that way.
It was weird because
It was-
I actually had never any problems with it when I was playing with it. Again, I think it was due to bandwidth, but when I
Yeah.
was playing with it and speaking to people, this was like, this is the future. And I kind of miss it now. I kind of like, if they did that now in today's generation with the latest hardware, the latest software, the latest servers, it would be huge. And it's good to
Also,
hear,
that was-
Fox, that you said they're keeping that kind of that license still
Right.
going. I'm hoping,
Yeah.
as you said, it's coming back sometime. Maybe it's their next big thing. We've just haven't heard about it yet.
Also, remember that's the time when they had the big security breach that they didn't tell anybody about for about 2 months or so. So they took a major hit during that time, and that may have dealt with the fall of that part of the system because a lot of people just flat out stopped using, the live services for a while because they didn't trust them.
Real quick, I looked it up, and they renewed the trademark July of this year.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. I know some people were talking about it when they released that article, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I was part of that. I was interested in that." And it was due to most of the time was servers. They can, hack it. They needed more servers, and that many people could get in. But I mean, for the most part, if they plan it well, people are gonna be interested in that in the future. And if
I
they
would.
keep adding stuff
Yeah.
to that.
It was a great little
good old-
service. I said you could put, furniture in your own house, do stuff, and it was like I could buy different clothes. It was like I can do anything I would do normally outside, but it was in this little hub world. It was fantastic for the time.
Sounded good, that did. Welcome Xbox 448. Hope you're doing well, and good night, Daz. Have a good sleep.
Sleep well, Dazzy.
But no, I've never tried PlayStation Home, but it does sound fun, and it's interesting that they've renewed the name. So that would be fun if they ever bring it back.
I remember it was Phil Harrison's brainchild.
Was it? Okay. Phil Harrison.
Oh.
Isn't this the guy that comes in and kills systems?
Uh,
Is that the guy?
well, I can't really talk ill of him.
No,
he did me a few favors, so yeah, you could probably say he does what he does post that, but I think that the home concept when it closed down was pretty much around when he was asked to leave Sony. So I think he rose to fame within the Sony ranks, or probably a little bit too quickly for his own good. But these things happened, and he's gone on to bigger and better things. But you'd have to ask him if he's happy with what he's achieved. But one thing's for sure, that the driver behind the PlayStation Home was Phil Harrison. I remember very clearly at the time.
That's good.
Well, unless he took the credit
I'll
for
have
it.
to go and look it up. See if any little videos. on it.
Because
I think there is
YouTube
videos
video.
online. Yeah,
I
there is
say-
YouTube videos online.
I say that because I guess we're all sort of old enough and wise enough to know that the truth is never unvarnished, right? It's never pure and never simple. As what we read on the internet, right? So anyway, I don't know if it's my turn to speak. Yeah, I'm waiting for further instructions from.
Just an
from my
update from
commander-in-chief.
Safu. From the PlayStation hack, he got his $7 from the lawsuit. Well done. Hope you spent it well.
I think that's about what I got too. $7.36 or something.
Nice.
I think you've embellished
Jordan-
that slightly, Mr. Stubbs, because it says $6.
$6.
Wow.
For it.
That's
So in our money,
if
it's
you
about
think about it,
£3. About £3.
Yeah, but
Stubbs is
still,
gonna send
you
you
think-
an extra $1.
yeah.
50
But
pence.
that's a lot of money. You think about how many
Yeah.
people they had on. That's a lot. That would make sense if you're not doing servers, you're paying for servers as well,
Mm.
and you're not getting. As remember, you didn't have a life. It wasn't getting money from the service.
Oh,
Then you had to pay out that amount of money.
removable. I have to tell you, right? So since I've been living in the States, in California for quite a few years, I don't want to name names, but neighbors and even people that I know here, right? The amount of
Neighbours.
checks that come through, every year to most people's homes for settlements, right, is astonishing. I've seen everything from $10
Really?
to $20 up to $2 to $3 grand. Yeah, it's insane how America works.
Well,
no
he's
offense, Paul,
doing
no
it here.
offense,
Like, give me some money.
Please don't kick me out. But yeah, it's quite. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. It's just, and when people get there, the first thing they say, "Oh, look, free money." So, that's the culture here, I'm afraid. Well, in California,
the UK
Well, California is very litigious. Very litigious.
The UK version is you'd spend a fortune, and even if you was awarded it, it would probably take you about 6-7 years for it to come through.
Yeah, I got told
If you're
once by
lucky.
an energy company they owed me $2,500, right? So they investigated it, yeah, and somehow they made the lot went missing. They didn't owe me anything. It all went missing. They've done a 6 or 7 weeks.
How does
And
that
in the end, I just dropped it because
$3,000 probably.
they said if it was £800 or £600, they would have paid it. So what's the point? It goes above £1,000. It goes to the legal side, and it says it all vanished. I couldn't be bothered to fight it. Do you know what I mean? You get a text saying, and it did say on the system when I rang them that they owed me it, but the legal department they made it go missing somehow. They've done something. I don't know what they did. I couldn't be bothered to get the ombudsman's involved. I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't. I just left it. I did. You know what I mean?
You'll be lucky. Yeah, in the UK, you'll be lucky if you get any money in any settlement. It's a very rare thing.
Of
course, it's big
sir.
bucks.
You owe us £50. You owe us money.
Yeah, yeah, that's more like the case. Yeah,
definitely in
It was a
England.
mistake.
yep.
It was the apprentice that sent the letter out.
Anyway, I think VJ's been chomping at the bits enough. Come on, VJ, give us your take on this.
VJ.
Nom, 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 nom.
Do you want me to go, or do you want Paul to go, Stubbs? Because you're the
No, I have
commander.
not much to say beyond what I said. It's all you,
Oh.
baby.
I did actually watch the interview. I didn't know if I would have time. I've been so busy playing Final Fantasy 12. I thought it was quite a balanced and straightforward interview. I joined the industry about 4 or 5 years before him, so I think he was being pretty straightforward in himself, and you could see there was no. I didn't sense that there was like a pre-rehearsal, as you often see, right, with E3 events. Sort of pre-rehearsed narrative and teleprompters and whatnot with the answers on it. So, and I use the word balance since he kind of. I mean, I come across a lot of different people in different business, but he struck me as someone, and probably even prior to the interview, as someone who sort of understands probably to varying degrees all aspects of a business, and obviously in this specific case the PlayStation business, right, especially if you listen to how Sony was actually set up in Europe. And I had a pretty close eye on how that came about, right. I remember Sony Music were actually distributing a lot of Mega Drive games and Super Nintendo games. The Mickey Mouse on the Mega Drive, not the one by Sega. I forgot what it was called, but it was. It starts off like black and white.
DuckTales?
No, even before that. You'd have to search it, so you can search it while I'm chatting if you want. I don't know, but it was by Sony Music that were distributing their games before the Sony PlayStation launch, and the division was set up. So, and I think he knows that. I think he knows how to get the balance in the assembly of personnel, and also the hierarchy in terms of like the layers in terms of management and leaders is probably more your game, removable. And I think he knows how to how to pretty much get that balance right in order to achieve, the business goals, right, and Sony's goals or PlayStation goals, and you can see, or you perhaps you've even witnessed, right, that Sony is currently, sort of playing to its strengths, and he was just saying, hey, look, you know what, we know what our strengths are, and we're just going from strength to strength. And I think what he was alluding to, and I think as Miss Fox was saying, is that unless something radical emerges in the way games are either made or monetized or consumed, they'll look at it, or they're probably already looking at it, right? And I think we talked about it last week, and I must mention it many times before, right? That those that lead provide a guiding light for those that follow. So, and they don't want to change the way that they're currently working. Well, they're not going to tell us if they are or not, right? Everybody's working on something in the background, and I get it, right? That he's not the best public speaker and he's not comfortable with it, and Jim for me seems to sort of instinctively know that the sort of people and personalities to bring on board to complement him, right, and or to make up for his deficiencies, shall we say, right, that he's quite upfront about, right, and he makes those difficult decisions, right? That's the position he's really in, right? Being the head of PlayStation is that in any business, right? The higher up you are, the more difficult your decisions become, right? And the more impactful that they become over a longer period of time. The ripple effect of what they do today could have an immeasurable fact going forward. And this is to Paul's point, right? Talking about the PlayStation 3, right? Which released, was it a year later and $100 more, and very difficult for developers to work with. And that was a time, I think, just at the end of the life cycle of that machine, where I think it probably broke even, is that Sony were almost facing bankruptcy, right, prior to the launch of PlayStation 4, and selling off all their major assets, right, including their buildings that they'd owned for decades, right, in New York. And I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, where they ended up having to do sale and leaseback agreements with investors, right, on the properties that they'd owned historically. But I think his key job right now, as is with Phil or anyone in a business of that magnitude, is to maintain balance and continuity as much as possible via delegation. And I think that's something that he's very, very good at. And I feel, sorry if I'm going on and on here, I can carry on if you don't mind.
No, you're fine.
I feel that. Also, from listening to the interview, you can see that from a young age, when he first visited Japan, right, when Sony wasn't really doing that well in Europe, Jim's been molded to a degree by working for a Japanese corporation, and can't but make a massive impression on how you actually go about doing your work, right. I think he's quite humble. I think his strengths lie in, from listening to him and from what I know of him, is strategy, structure, and processes, right? And I think those are the similar words that are paraphrasing what he said there. But you can see that when he spoke those words, if you listen really carefully, the things that he was confident about, right? He was very efficient in the terminology that he used. But when it came to talking about games specifically, he was a little bit more hesitant, right? You could just see it in his body language and the way his cheeks were sort of twitching and curling of his lips, and the way his eyes kind of squinted slightly. You can go back and watch all of this. I'm not making it up. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm just
it's true. It's like he's trying to think of what's the latest PlayStation
exactly.
game I played.
It's not a fluent language to him, right? It's not a fluent language to him, right?
Well, he doesn't need to be, does it? He's there for one particular reason.
Exactly.
He just talks business, basically.
It's just the reason why I want to sort of just talk about him a bit more is because I don't like, like we were talking about the first topic about people being very reactionary, looking at it, not really studying it, not doing their research, not being compassionate about it, and just forming an opinion based on somebody you don't really even know, let's be honest, right? And as it stands, from everything that I heard from him, in terms, ultimately, like you guys say, right, he's ultimately there to achieve the purpose or the goals that's been set forth by Japan for him, right? And it's always like that with the Japanese corporation. No matter who looks like that, that's the figurehead of an industry or a business at that specific time. There's always a dark hand or a controlling hand behind, and the same for Phil Spencer. Satya's there, ensuring that the goals are met, regardless of what Phil may say publicly, right? And as it stands, I think that with hindsight, he was the right guy. He's the right guy for a company like, or the ilk of Sony. I don't know if that's the right word, and he's got
culture. I think the culture of Sony suits Jim perfectly.
Yeah, and he's also, you got to understand why he's there as well. He's got the experience. If you listen to what he says, he's got the experience, the knowledge, and all the memories of Sony and PlayStation's history in his locker. And a lot of people have left Sony, and he's probably one of the last standing. We just mentioned Phil Harrison, right? There's a lot of people that don't have that, and that's still there at Sony. And I think that, as a saying, like Sony as a corporation in very, very recent history had a very tough time, right? Perhaps, served that moment there back in, it's just only several years ago, right? Served as a watershed moment, right? That's driving Sony right now. Yeah, they're making a lot of smart business moves on the back of learning from terrible mistakes that they made, as Paul said, right, with the PS3 and lots of other business decisions as well. But just something you said, removal. It might be new, Fox. Is that when I see Jim, when I see him, what I see is a conductor, right? At the Royal Opera House. So I forgot what it's called now in Australia. That weird shaped egg-shaped building, but or eggshells stacked upon each other. But he's not concerned, like you're saying, removal, with the brass section or the wind section or the string section, and how the musicians function, what gender they are, or the instruments and how they are technically used and performed, and and how he's got like people like Herman Hulst, right, and to manage that for him, right. And that's why I was really happy when he brought him on board, right? I watched Herman Hulst's documentaries about how Guerrilla came up and about, and it was really fantastic, really eye opening. And the people in the divisions or sections within Sony are all like any company, right? You've always got good people or you've got great people, right, in the field of their expertise, right? But moreover, for Jim, like he's someone who just, I think, has learned, right, and just makes it clear in a very simple way what needs to happen, as any good leader does, right, and strives for, right, in order to sort of simplify and get across what the purpose is, right. And I think more so that meeting, I think he talked about when he met Kutaragi, right, saying, where he kind of, they all flew over and had like a 2-minute meeting, and Kutaragi just says, just do your job a lot better, right? Or make PlayStation business more successful. And I get out, go back, take another 10-hour, 12-hour flight back to England. And I think that probably defined, like you're saying, remember, defined his management style, right? And Kutaragi, even, sorry.
Well, I think Josh, to allude to that, I think some people seem to assume that you could probably take Phil and put him in to Sony. It wouldn't work. Let's look at this logically. Look how Microsoft has had to fight tooth and nail even just to get into the Japanese culture. The Western approach doesn't really work well with the Eastern approach. So the fact that he's been there so long should tell you anything about the man.
Yeah.
How he knows, he respects, he understands that culture. And obviously, it's a two-way street. It's slightly played on him a little bit himself, but he was never there really as you were saying. He's never there as the friendly, funny guy and be the boss and be the person who manages it. He's there. He was there for a reason, and that's why they got him in. That's why they worked so well with that management structure.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, like, Kutaragi-san, he wasn't a very sort of public-facing person either. He was extremely ruthless. And if he survived under Kutaragi-san while he was in charge of PlayStation, tells you a lot about the standard of Jim.
Exactly.
Right? And he was not public-facing, more so a driven person, right? And I think Jim is the same. And I think what Jim concerns himself with, ensuring that everyone knows what they have to do and ensure the right people in the right places executing the vision. And be they creatives, be they problem solvers, or people that ensure that everything in the organization is running smoothly. And they're all very distinct jobs, right? And they're sometimes the major facets of running a business, right? But being able to sort of identify these people and placing them in the right positions so they themselves are happy and perform at their level best is an art. Is an art form in itself, right? Which any good leader or manager has to be able to do, right? And just to sort of make it even, when I talked about Sony, because I was there at the time, right, in the industry. This is that kind of like refresh my thought process, because it's like I'm like being transported back in time. But the success over time in Europe, because it never came on day one. We heard him speak about that, right? And proves that, I think. I remember Activision, THQ, Acclaim, Capcom, Konami, even Square at the time, because there weren't Square Enix at the time, Squaresoft, to this day even are struggling, right? And Nintendo in the past investing and changing the strategy, I think almost 3 times, going from Bandai Namco as their distributor, a toy distributor, to selling the NES console and SNES console. And even Xbox, right, and many others have tried to establish themselves in Europe, only to stumble and falter or just quit and then come back decades later, right, when gaming was more mass market. So in that sense, it's quite a remarkable achievement. And for Jim now, it's about the challenge of going up against one of their major competitors in Xbox in the States itself, right, where his predecessors had failed, right, with a really powerful console, fantastic lineup of games, and they still couldn't usurp Microsoft, right? Because I think at the end of the day, the difference in terms of hardware units installed in the US between Xbox One or One X or whatever it is, and PS4 Pro, etc., is not that different. So you can understand why Sony made the changes. And all in all, people may use their sort of low rent imagination to misinterpret it or misconstrue what Jim did or did not say, and that's a real shame, right? He answered questions, if you listen to him really carefully, as head of PlayStation and on behalf of Sony Corporation, but he also answered specific questions that were asked for him that way, that were directed to him at a personal level, and he answered those from a personal perspective. And those were, when he said something,
it's a rare thing.
Yeah, and when he said something like, so for example, 10 million versus 100 million people experiencing Sony's games, that was his own utopian sort of moonshot, right? That was his own opinion, his own reflection on what he would like to see, but no, not in any way was he giving away, a strategy that's in play, and was he representing Sony or PlayStation? And I think that the language that was used, I think again people misinterpret or don't listen. They hear, but they don't listen well enough, right, to construe what is actually being said. And again, that's a massive shame. And I think that whatever. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, not a lot of people understand the business aspect of it, like myself. I can only see it from a gamer's perspective, right? From a consumer's perspective. So not everything that he resonated with me,
Yeah, no, I get it. And look, if you Miss Fox, if you look at it, and if it is true, and let's just say he manages to convince Japan, and then the games are experienced by 100 million people, and we're kind of doing a 360 here, where it's good news, right? As Paul would say it, right? It's gearing towards inclusivity, and words like exclusivity, which I think is the exclusive word, is being removed more and more from Sony's from ads and stuff like that. Division, diversiveness, the traditional Victorian aristocratic approach, which removal is still very fond of. The exclusionary and segregated approach, especially for marketing, is slowly being done away with, and has to be done away with for change to occur. So in that sense, I hope that what he's thinking happens, right? Whether it happens from a business point of view, I just don't know. I'm not well enough informed, but alas, most people, to most degrees, I mean, we have to consume and do so much in this modern time. Perhaps I've just got time on my hands, but are impatient and don't really take time to think, or digest, should I say, when you're asked to look at something in an intelligent way. But and an unintelligent way is like what seems to be the most common way of taking in information. But anyway, I think I'm talking too much now, so I'm just going to be quiet.
Wow, you hit a lot of great points in there, and I never even thought to look at it in certain ways like you did. So I thought that was very interesting. The only other thing I said I would add, besides the fact that I already said, I like the interview, it was pretty interesting, right? Was the fact that he mentioned bringing gaming to Middle East. I think that's the only thing that I was like confused about. And when I looked into it, a lot of people, I would say me myself as well, even though I wasn't sure, took it as in it seemed like he was saying that he brought gaming as a whole, when everyone else started talking about how the Middle East had Nintendo and Atari and arcades and stuff like that as well. So I think a lot of people took that negatively, and I seen a lot of tweets and obviously podcasts where people were talking about that specifically in a negative light.
See, when I was around in the industry, the EMEA territories, that was Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Africa and the Middle East were notoriously difficult territories. The Middle East is the censorship, similar to China, was quite difficult to break. Localization and stuff like that.
Right, it was very minimal.
Yeah. So to bring it, so what's that word? So it was very tribal in terms of how gaming was perceived in those territories, and you could say that you could argue that Sony brought gaming to Europe, because before Sony it was Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, but the way that Sony went about
the glory days, the
way that Sony went about bringing gaming to the mass market, it was a different way. It was more so that
they took a different approach, but it wasn't like gaming wasn't there at all. Right.
No, that's, I mean, come on, gaming's been there since, I mean, gaming goes
1970s.
back to, no, not even 70s. If you go back to gaming, it was when we could, scroll, sort of with chalk on cave walls, right? Or sing songs by the fire, right? I mean, games were prevalent back then, like hundreds of thousands and thousands of years ago. But gaming in terms of mass market gaming really,
right, like video gaming.
Yeah. When Sony came to the market, and yeah, you're right. I think that Nintendo, I forgot the name of the distributor, but there was a toy distributor in the Middle East. I forgot the region as well. I'm really, really sorry. Actually, they teamed up with a Singapore distributor that would ship into the Middle East, because I don't think at that time they could have like a registered company bringing in games. It had to be kind of brought in under the radar. But you're absolutely right, Ms. Fox. Gaming, whether it's board gaming, digital gaming of some kind, or Etch-a-Sketch, or console gaming, as it is today. Yeah, I mean, it's been around forever. But to bring it about, like to the mass market, to make it cool, to make it relevant, to make it popular amongst teens, I think that Sony, can take a share of the credit for it, right? But not entirely, because you need everybody to come together, right? Publishers, as well as all the people that create the content to make the system viable, because without content or without software, your system is defunct, right? And Sony learned that lesson better than anyone with the Betamax. So, but perhaps Removable can talk more about
that. Old school.
Yeah, I mean,
VHS old school. The Betamax.
This was a really interesting, nice chat. I've had a lot of fun so far.
I think Stubbs is going to need therapy after this episode. He's going to probably disinvite me for the next
Stubbs is trying to drink some coffee or something.
No, I'm not. I'm here.
He's playing Yakuza.
I tried to set that up earlier. I couldn't get my HDMI lead in the TV. It's on the wall. I need to get a HDMI cable
adapter.
Yeah, I'll probably try that. I will. I have been trying to set that up so I can play Yakuza Kiwami while we're on the air, but not been able to do that yet. I haven't.
I think I've only played the Switch while on a podcast or two. But don't tell them that.
Which ones? Go on, you can't just leave us hanging now.
By the way, VJ, the building you were thinking of in Australia is the Sydney Opera House.
Oh, thanks, Paul. I appreciate it.
Yes,
I appreciate
beautiful.
it. See, Paul's about
the only. I actually want to go there one day, and I was muted, but I want to thank you for not bringing up my age when you were talking about cave drawings and smacking on rocks.
Perfect.
So,
okay, if you didn't know, Paul's immortal.
So, Lady Foxfire, I know you've got to shoot off now, but it's been great to have you on the show. I'd like to thank you for coming on. It's been fun, and hopefully we'll be able to get you back in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, looking forward to it. You guys are awesome. Funny.
Please do come back, Ms. Fox.
Yes, you haven't scared me off. I enjoy. I enjoy your little talks.
We need to try harder. Then really need to try harder.
You got some great insight, guys. I had fun. I'm looking forward to being back in the future. Thank you to everybody in the chat for passing by and following me as well through the links on the Twitter, so you guys can follow me on there or on my YouTube channel. I recorded a video yesterday, so I should be releasing that today. But yeah, for anything that you're interested regarding me, ladyfoxfire.com. That's all you got to do, and all the links are there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Good chat, it has.
All right. Awesome chat, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show. I'll see you around.
Thank
Bye.
you.
See you later, lady. See you, lady. Thanks.
Hey.
See you, lady.
So you see why
And
you know
then
why I
the-
was talking so much that I get nervous when I'm surrounded by lovely ladies. Just kidding.
No, it was a good chat. So I've got another topic. I have this one's a bit big. We should be able to get through it.
Should or
And
maybe.
this topic, I'm surprised more podcasts ain't talking about. I don't play FIFA football games, but this is like massive news. So I'll give you clips from it. So basically, FIFA is now renewing or in talks with EA, and they've got their FIFA game. The rights expire December 2022. So imagine you'll get another FIFA game out there by they'll release a FIFA 2023. They will. So what it is FIFA basically wants now. This has come from the gamesindustry.biz. According to the New York Times, FIFA is seeking more than double what it is currently receiving from EA Sports, according to people with knowledge of the talks. So the figure is about $1 billion every 4 years. So that's a World Cup cycle. And there's been lots of disagreements about this between both the companies and what the deal should cover. Because from what I understand, now I think I've seen MLB do this. They want loads of deals from different gaming companies. Basically, they want it so because EA Sports has had dominance over the FIFA brand and licensing for 3 decades now. And I think FIFA, all they're trying to do is because you've got to think though, someone at legal in FIFA is looking at EA's profits. You can see how much money they make from FIFA, and it's ridiculous amounts of money. So if you're sat there at FIFA going, I don't think we're charging them enough. They're making billions out of our game, and we're not getting any of it. And I can't blame them for it. But it's getting quite. I'll just find the exact quote where it looks like they're going. Basically, EA Sports has now the contract's been extended. It also follows EA Sports has extended its contract with Professional Football Union FIF Pro yesterday. They have another registered game. I don't know if they're preparing to. From what I understand, they're on the brink of walking away from having a FIFA game. FIFA each year won't have a game. From what I understand, but I think people misunderstand because to use the players, clubs, and any of the leagues and World Cups, you have to have a deal. Now, that doesn't mean that game has to be called FIFA World Cup, etc. You can call it every night, but they will still need to hand over and do a deal with FIFA, unless you want to be like PES used to be and just make up football players' names and not have official team names, etc. But this is a statement that's caused the most controversy from FIFA. FIFA is bullish and excited about the future in gaming and esports for football. And it is clear that this needs to be a space that is occupied by more than one party controlling all the rights. FIFA has said that. That says a lot. It says that they want to work with multiple companies, or I just think that they want to make more money out of the brand.
I think the $1 billion price tag is just them wanting out because they know EA is not going to pony up $1 billion. This is they can now say, well, we made you an offer, you declined it, so now we're going to move on. You know.
Yeah, but they need to what EA will need. That see, even if they make another game, they can't. They can use another name. They don't have to use FIFA.
It's the licensing is basically they're paying for.
Yeah,
it's the licensing. Then they have to have it if they want an official game.
We may start seeing more fun games like outside of FIFA, fun games like NFL Blitz or NBA Jam. That's what this may
Yeah,
open
I
up.
ain't saying they're going to charge them $1 billion because they want the licensing, but but they're going to have if they want the official players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Man United, and all that. If they want all that, they're still going to have a deal, some kind of deal with FIFA, because otherwise, without a deal with FIFA, you can't use.
What I'm saying is, FIFA's looking beyond EA, because EA, EA. Look at what EA has done to Madden. EA has destroyed Madden.
But I just find that this is a massive. I find it funny. A lot of podcasts ain't talking about it. This is massive. One of the biggest games.
Well, the shows I've been on have talked about it, but maybe I
probably missed it. That's all.
Stubbs hasn't been watching them.
I know. No support at all.
Well, as you've talked about it, Cerebral, then shouldn't you be the first person to get your response in? Dun, 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 dun.
Look, I'm not a FIFA person. I couldn't play that game if my life depended on it. Okay, it's just too much twitchy play for me. But I honestly think it's
But Paul, you're immortal.
I watched a video. I watched a video about it as well, and the person I watched pointed out too that this is the second big exclusivity deal they've lost in the last year. They lost Star Wars as well. And this has got to be stinging EA a bit. They're losing, because maybe they'll wake up and start changing their ways a little bit, because everybody knows about the whole Madden copy and paste thing, that the 2019 graphics were on the 2020 game, and that it's basically become update the rosters and don't change much else in the game. And so basically they've been doing nothing and making literally billions of dollars because people keep buying this stuff.
It's true.
So this could only be good for us. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see a bad side to this at all.
Oh, no, agree. The thing I say, though, I mean, $1 billion sounds a lot to us, but if you were to look at how much they actually make out of FIFA, it's naff all. They make billions.
Is that $1 billion? Is that $1 billion for a certain period of time? So is that not $1 billion a year? Or is that $1 billion over 4 years?
That's about $1 billion every 4 years.
See, and I heard it was. I'm not going to look it up, but I'd heard it was actually the number actually given was $2 billion.
Yeah, it says region of $1 billion. It doesn't. That's not the final figure, so I don't know exactly.
That's why I'm thinking they threw that number out as a token number they really want out of this deal. And
it could be.
Well, if you can look at it from a financial perspective, if you can guarantee, you got two ways of looking at it. You either got the way with FIFA where you leave it to other companies who will license it, but it could be sporadic in terms of money coming in, or you have EA who you can guarantee will bring in that fee consistently every 4 years.
Right, but is EA willing to take that loss? Because that's
this is a question. Very well pointed out, they've lost Battlefront.
EA is all about the money. So
at this stage, the question is probably not the fact that are they willing, is are they willing to lose? So that money they've lost already paying for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Are they going to go right? We're going to whack it into FIFA, or are we going to use it elsewhere to purchase other studios? And again, VJ might be able to jump in this because he keeps a close eye on purchases made by studios. I don't know. As I agree with you, if it can be moved away from EA, or even instead of a 4-year license, a rental agreement every year, that I think would be better. The question is, for me, is will EA are they being forced down into a position where they really just got to say, look, we got it, because at this stage we've lost two of our big hitters, money coming in. Can we afford to lose that amount of money?
In my opinion, really, I know that they're saying, "Oh, we're going to make a new game," but I think that they will lose a lot of money by not having that FIFA brand. A lot of people look at. You can make a new game, but people look to that. There's people every year that buy that game religiously. People I know, that's all they buy. They buy
I think
every year,
Animated
that's all
son
they
does.
buy.
Animated always buys. Yeah. He said the same thing, didn't he? He said his son always buys the new.
They buy it. But then again, the problem you've got is as well. There's another problem. People, I mean, I don't know how good the game is. It's obviously good because millions of people buy it every year. If someone else gets hold of that says we, a different studio or publisher, etc., we have the game. Not entirely sure they'll be able to make a game at that level. Do you know what I mean? The game might not be as good.
I don't know. I think again they similarly do it with if you look at like FIFA 19, FIFA 20, FIFA 21, they're very similar with very minor tweaks again.
Because they're experts in the field. I'm saying if you were to get somebody else
not because experts in the field, they reuse and rehash the assets.
Oh
yeah,
you're right.
I think don't get me wrong. I mean, if I remember correctly, what was it? Someone's like, "Oh, I think was it the real? What was it? Is it FIFA with the realism of the faces?" They go, "Look, it's massively upgraded." It's like, not really. I think, was it the hair? It was a hair from a
hair.
They said their hair is amazing, but the actual facial features were like, well, they haven't changed from last year. But the hair is amazing.
Yeah. I'll rephrase it then. Obviously, their studios have got all the assets in place to knock out games. A new studio might take a couple of years, so you might be out without a game.
Yeah, that would probably be the crux. Is that you'll probably end up having to redo a lot of stuff. But if you want that license, you'll be happy to do it.
But you might see something new and better. Yeah,
True.
You don't know. Fully, it could be. I mean, think about it. I think the game at the moment is a third-person perspective sort of situation. What happens if, and I'm just going to throw it out there, what happens if you could be playing third-person, and then, boom, you zoom into the first-person view through the player's eyes? And then you can switch to another character and do that.
Wow, that'd be different. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah,
there you go.
Especially for some of the kicks on goal and stuff, that could be awesome.
Yeah. But I should have really licensed that. I should have kept that quiet. I've now lost that.
Because
now you screwed yourself out. You screwed yourself out.
Yeah. Millions. Can I save myself millions there?
I don't know how big esports is in the FIFA world, but they emphasised esports as well, didn't they?
Huge. It is huge.
I think FIFA's the biggest esport. Of the EA title.
It is. Well, it's not the biggest, but it is definitely one of. I think it's the top 5. I think was it. There is a couple other games out there that are actually. I think it's like what are the actual? League of Legends. I think is way up there.
Yeah.
That's up there. I think FIFA is up there, but it's not the top one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because FIFA has that world draw. Football.
That's right.
That world draw, not just.
Well, they called it soccer, FIFA soccer.
I know. I'm trying to be nice. Because I'm on a UK.
I remember years ago when every time, apparently, when FIFA done a launch in Britain, even though they called it soccer, they said, "Oh, we know you lot call it." Basically, they know we apologise for calling it football, for soccer. But we know you British call it football, but that's what we call it. I've heard a lot.
Well, actually, if I remember correctly, back in the day, I think they changed. They would change, and I think in the early '90s, and VJ might be able to call it the early '90s, beginning of the '20s, they did change it from soccer to football on the European version. Okay. So there was a clear distinction between the American and the English, but I think as time went in, they went, we can't be asked. We'll just think it's one time. Yeah.
Apparently, International Superstar Soccer 64 was awesome.
From Konami. It was an exceptional game. 4-player. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
On Nintendo. Yeah, it was by Konami, it's a phenomenal game. Do you want me to talk about this a little bit? I have some thoughts.
Yes.
I haven't watched anything about this, so this is just all my own thoughts. But I think just a couple of points before I go into any sort of detail. I think Paul made a really good point, right? That perhaps that if EA do suffer a couple more stings in the proverbial backside, then they may change their ways. But for that, I think they would need a complete hierarchy change, right, in order to change their ways on means and methods and ideology, right? And I think it's a very difficult thing to do, especially when people don't want to lose the position that they're currently in, right? especially well-paid positions at Activision and EA. And I know that they lost the Star Wars license, but did they really lose? As far as I recall, and I may be incorrect here, but they hardly exploited the license to the way that we expected over a 10-year period. And the only real
they hardly used it. They hardly used it
exactly.
at all.
Yeah, thank you. And the only real success was Jedi Fallen Order, a surprise, and I think it's getting a sequel as well. So
yeah, that's right.
And I can't speak for Battlefront 2 because obviously it had a sequel, but I just don't know how much of a popular game it was. So I don't know how much they're actually losing, right, or how much they actually even made. And look, I'm not a football fan, but typically royalty rates run anything between 4 to 8% of net wholesale price for a publisher when they're using an external license, whether it's a Disney or FIFA or whatever. So EA are obviously picking up or paying out anything between $2 to $6, and that's based on a physical and digital aggregates unit sold. And EA sell between 20 and 30 million, so let's call it 25 million units FIFA annually, according to FIFA. They, to their accounts, right? They've been registered accounts, so earn about 150 million every year from EA alone. So, and then if you look at the number of units, physical units of the game sold, it only really equates to about 100 million in royalties due. So you can understand now, or we can understand now, why EA went the route of selling valuable DLC, special players, loot boxes, and the multitude of microtransactions, and how that's contributing to EA's business economy, right? No different to Activision. It's phenomenal that a third or nearly 2/3, or maybe even half, I'm not sure, but it's somewhere in that region in terms of their cash flow and their profits come from microtransactions, right? It's just pretty shocking. And Sony as well, and obviously Microsoft are going towards that as well, and I don't blame them, and obviously the other $50 million is probably being accumulated from those incremental sales of content, right? And look, I can talk about licensing till I'm blue in the face, but I won't do that. I don't want to bore everybody. I know that people have got to get to bed and stuff, but it used to be that the highest bid would successfully win you any license, right? And now now in the modern society, it's also about, what's the quality and how you're going to elevate our brand and make sure it doesn't come under scrutiny or into disrepute, and public perception and so on and so forth counts for something, right? And is important to major license holders, right? And of course, all that lovely incremental royalty that added to their bottom line, right? And it's got to be something to do with the FIFA regime change, which has occurred over the few years, right? Someone's obviously gone in, they're new, they're fresh. They knew that they're at the head of the licensing division or consumer product licensing division, and they've got a point to prove, and they've got to be in their bonnet, or perhaps they've received solicited or unsolicited advice from outside, right, or internally, that they could earn more money from EA, right? But it's difficult to see that, right? And look, it may be a wise decision to rattle the cage, EA's cage, and I can't see all ends, or it may be a very wise and smart decision, it may be a very foolish decision, but sometimes it's the better the devil you know. And as I say, I don't know all the avenues open to FIFA currently, right, based on what they're saying. They're bullishly saying, oh, we've got, sort of advisors, telling us that perhaps there's a bigger piece of the pie, or we can achieve a much bigger chunk of the pie moving on from EA. But before they move on, many say they don't like EA's business strategies or ethics or their games, or it doesn't matter which, I don't know, whichever podium you stand on, right? Or perhaps you want to occupy all three. I don't know. But for me, it's, I would say that more so, many people, especially in football, don't actually like FIFA. They actually despise FIFA. In some respects, I think they both deserve each other. And it almost reeks of a private negotiation that's been made public, much like the Sony Marvel discussion over Spider-Man being included in the Marvel Universe, not being included in the Marvel Universe. Who's going to have the distribution rights? Who's getting what cut of the percentages? And then it went public, it went dead, and then before we knew it, they all came back to the table and agreed whatever they ended up agreeing. So, and it seems FIFA want a resolution and are upping the ante by forcing EA's hand by going public. And let's look at the alternatives for FIFA. Let's be honest, it doesn't sell small amounts of games. It's probably the closest game out there, other than Call of Duty, that can gear up towards anywhere near what Take-Two's GTA sells. And is there really another option or several candidates for FIFA? You could consider Sony, Microsoft, perhaps Activision or Take-Two, and as an outside bet, perhaps the Embracer Group or even Tencent are candidates for the license, especially if FIFA want to go on this sort of let's get to every continent and every unknown country that we can hold the World Cup in, right? Maybe perhaps China at some point, right? And, you know, regardless of human right infractions that are ongoing in Qatar or China, but this is football, so let's keep, you know, politics out of it. I mean, for me, the hypocrisy is just so clear and present, but we turn a blind eye to it, right? Or sweep it under the rug. If it's entertainment for the majority, regardless of who's sort of profiteering and the misery suffered by people we don't know, perhaps that, then it's all right. Sorry, just being sarcastic there if I'm not getting that across.
You bring up an interesting point, though. Imagine if Microsoft, who everybody says needs a sports title, was able to pick up FIFA.
Well, that was going to be actually my key point here, is that could Xbox build a studio in Japan and entice Konami's talented and you'd have to say mismanaged and beleaguered Pro Evolution production team, or as Indie Gamer put it, right? Oh my goodness, I forgot the name of the game again. The game that he put in for the N64. Because I never remember the name of the title, because it's for me it's always been Winning 11, you know, when it was released in Japan. But as I say, you know, could they open up a studio in Tokyo and say, guys, come across? After all, you know, EA have strived to mimic Pro Evo's experience since 7-8 years, 9 years ago, right? Even mapping their control system out of the box or out of the cartridge box or disc box, right, to match Konami's, right? That's how far they went. And perhaps, you know, Xbox opens a studio up across from EA's own offices, right, and FIFA offices. And I think there's a lot of possibilities for Xbox if they have the Brussels sprouts, shall we say, in a polite manner, because there is a lady present. Well, she was, now she's gone. Or intelligence and imagination to pull something like this off. And if they did, many, and as Paul was alluding to there, many of the PR and marketing boxes would be ticked off for the next decade, right? If that's how long the license is for Microsoft. And what better than to see it in Game Pass, right? This generation, right?
Yeah.
As your destination to enjoy the most popular sport the world over, bar jolly hockey sticks, miss. Because I used to love girls' hockey, and I also used to indulge in cross-dressing Wednesday on a Friday, but we won't go into that, probably from different podcasts altogether. And be it via and especially, Paul, if you look at it, right, they're not just trying to deliver the Game Pass experience via console for the best experience. Obviously, if you want the optimum experience or the ultimate experience or the premium experience, go buy Series
about
X.
xCloud, baby. It's all about xCloud too.
Or basically what you're saying, is there any other device in the world where possible until the launch of a dedicated handheld? Look, I have no idea the situ EA will find themselves in without FIFA. I don't know what the FIFA Pro Professional Football Union that Stubbs mentioned allows them to build or do in the absence of having the FIFA license. When you really look at numbers again, EA are already paying $600 million plus to FIFA every 4 years. And no one's looked at that, and that's according to FIFA 2020. That's according to FIFA's own registered 2020 financials, and where they received, whether they received 150 million or a little bit more or a little bit less, you know, I don't know, right? That's just based on the exchange rate. And now FIFA just saying, listen, you know what? This is what we're seeing that we're getting in the last 4 years on aggregate. We're getting 600 million. We want closer to $1 billion. I think there's more of a chance both parties meet somewhere in the middle. The game RRP goes up, DLC and microtransactions will go up. Otherwise, I think both parties lose out, especially EA. But FIFA, you know, being bullish, but certainly not smart, considering, you know, how long, you know, a game takes to make. So who are these purported experts advising them? Right? It smells like immature posturing to me. And
well, as soon as you have to think, let's go from a different perspective here. Are they saying this because someone else has given them an offer?
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said to you, I've given you the candidates, right? But we've talked about how long it takes to set up a studio, right? You'd really need a state-of-the-art facility, right, to capture all the motion capture, to capture the faces. Maybe perhaps the pipelines are really, really much more smoothed out or much more easier these days, right? We saw that with Kojima, right? When was it one of the December shows, the Game Awards show, where he showed where Kojima explained how quickly they can capture anybody and put them in a game, and perhaps that's what.
Well, a recent tweet of his showed he was actually doing doing his own internal captures.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is so much quicker now.
Yeah, and for me, I just wanted to make sure that I don't want to make this about exclusivity and all of that, right? I think it would be very much structured for Xbox in the way that the MLB deal is structured, and I only suggest this because FIFA's mandate has always been about inclusivity, and that's why you can view the World Cup on terrestrial TV. It's never via pay-per-view.
That's true.
And for everyone, and it's for FIFA and football. The mantra is football for everyone and everywhere. So going on Game Pass, elevating that platform and making it available everywhere else for $60 to $70 and nickel and diming every other platform for DLC, it could be a really strong way for Microsoft to go. I just think that they are in a position to make that happen, right? And to put that money down, right? Because it's not just a great license. It's not just a great revenue generator in terms of sales of a video game, but from the marketing perspective and an awareness of Xbox being synonymous with FIFA, it would put the England sponsorship deal, which I think is a big joke, to be quite honest with you, in the shade, fundamentally speaking, right? Practically speaking and factually speaking. And when this does happen to EA and they lose all these franchises, and goodness knows how they're going to recover from it, but then does Xbox purchase EA longer term at a knockdown price? And surely they'll do a lot better job with all the IPs that they've got. And it's definitely, I'm siding kind of the thing that EA have to do the deal, because the adverse and unwarranted effects on EA could be quite catastrophic. And I'll just leave it. I'm just
thinking, the way you've just thought about it, maybe this 1 billion fee, and again, it's around 1 billion. Maybe someone's offered them that, and they're basically saying to EA, look, you either stump up similar or we're moving elsewhere.
All those companies I mentioned can pay that money and do
without doubt. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was like, we're assuming it's FIFA who's asked this, who's pushing this. How do we know that they actually, someone else externally has gone, look, we know your licensing agreement is up, or it's coming to be up. Here's a nice little figure for you.
I'm with Paul. Is that if that conversation is happening, I want to see Microsoft in that conversation, and not for us to be sitting here. Why has Take-Two got it, or why has XYZ got it? I mean, the reason why I mention Xbox, I don't think it's out of the realm of reality, because if you remember, and Paul will know this very well because we've talked about this, Paul, is that when Outer Worlds 2 was announced, originally it was going to be multi-format, right? And then Microsoft came along, and Take-Two in their earnings call had to change the fact that it's going to be on Xbox is developing. Obsidian are developing it, and they'll only be on the Xbox format, which shows you that Microsoft have stepped in and said, listen, I don't really care. We don't really care what agreement you've got with Obsidian. They're making this game and it's ours now, and like it or lump it. And the same thing they did with them when they bought out Bungie, right? When Take-Two owned 20.1% of the company, and Microsoft came along and spent 30 million and bought 80% and told Take-Two, well, that's your lot. It's never going to see a multi-format release. It's a launch title for our system, and then Take-Two, I think, ended up getting bought out for another 20 or 30 million. Their 20% share. So I just hope it's that Microsoft that comes to the table. And but at the end of the day, I just want to see it with a developer and a publisher that has a passion for it, and that make it a better game than EA ever did. And on par with what Konami about their studio, well, when they were in their prime, what they used to output, right, and that we used to really enjoy. So I don't know if you've heard all this before, Paul, but that's just my thoughts, mate.
No, it's good. I had something I was going to say, but I've totally forgotten about it.
It happens to me all the time, Paul.
You love Tushi.
Well, sushi or Tushi? There's a difference there. Sushi, yes.
Both, to be honest with you. Sushi off Tushi, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Oh.
No, very, very good points, VJ. So some points I didn't even think about.
Oh, I know what my point was. I was going to mention, VJ. EA also has a habit of buying IPs and then burying them and never touching them. Only to bury them. That's the only reason they bought it, is to kill it. And not saying that.
Well, you know what?
I don't think FIFA would have allowed that, though.
Right.
No, it's not that. Paul makes a good point there, because everything's coming full circle. Where they did that to cannibalized every other studio, milked it for everything that they possibly could. And isn't it interesting that it's all coming back to bite them in the arse, and someone like Xbox might pick them up for next to nothing?
Well, to be honest, that's what they're kind of doing with FIFA. They are milking it. It's just kind of slow, micro chasm changes to each year.
It's a torture.
And so by that, maybe that's what they've seen. They've seen the writing on the wall, and they're like, "Do we really want our franchise to be synonymous with just different hair color once every generation or something?"
I just when I load up the title screen or the user interface for FIFA, it gives me a bloody headache, and I mean that with the greatest respect. Where is the option to kickstart a 2-player exhibition game just off the bat? I mean, you have to be like a pilot to navigate that user interface, and I just
again, it kind of picks up, into be honest, you with a very early point by Cerebral, no accessibility. And if Microsoft, say forbidden, Microsoft did get it, I can guarantee you they would probably put in that accessibility option.
Well, you know what? I think that they might.
You mean I might be able to play it? Wow, that would be.
I can't promise you anything.
I'll tell you what. The next FIFA, right? There will probably be a disclaimer. Please play Microsoft Xbox Flight Simulator before attempting our UI. Earn an achievement in that game before you play this one. So, sorry. You caught me in a good mood today. I can't stop talking. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Woohoo! No, it's been a good show today.
It really
has. It's been a good show. But no, there's been some good points by all. I
did have a load more points, if you don't mind. No, I'm just kidding. I do have a load more points. I do. I really do have a load of more points I wanted to talk about licensing, but I think it probably just save them for the next opportunity.
That would be another hour, easy.
So, yeah.
I'm really, really sorry. Yeah.
No, it's all interesting. Yeah. It is. It's yeah.
I did try to talk really quickly.
No, you've done well. There's some points that I didn't think about, but I still think they will come to a middle ground, and FIFA will continue with EA. I do.
See,
like you say, it's a very big risk to them as a company to lose that.
You see, if Sepp Blatter was still in charge, right, this deal would have been done and dusted. He would have got a few million sent offshore to him, and the deal would have been done. But he's not there anymore.
That's something that we actually haven't thought about.
Allegedly,
why hasn't it been done straight away? It does seem to be a bit of a almost like a pause from EA.
Yeah, allegedly.
Which is kind of disconcerting.
Their mate Sepp Blatter is not there anymore. The biggest scandal in world football.
FIFA are still allegedly the same. Allegedly. I keep saying allegedly. With FIFA, you got to say allegedly. So I said it. But yes, I wouldn't trust FIFA, allegedly.
No, people despise, many people despise FIFA. That's why sometimes...
Well, it's like the Olympics, isn't it? People win these bids. Yeah, backhanders, allegedly.
Backhand Bob, brown envelopes. Sling a bit of mud. A bit of bunts. Okay,
trust me, those things still happen. You just don't see it.
Yeah, it happens everywhere.
Z-Rat Rider, thanks for stopping in. But yeah, no, it's been a good show. It has. It's been some fun topics. But Lady Foxfire on early. She had to shoot off early. But it was good to have her on. And it's the first time she's been on. First time I spoke to her. She's got some very good opinions. A very good YouTube channel. She has. If you want to check it out, it's
must have her on again.
Yes, we will. It's on website. It's in the links. I think it's Anyway, it's in the links. All of her links are to her YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to Lady Foxfire, please subscribe to her. It's been a great show. Thanks, VJ, for coming on this week.
Thanks for having me on. And I know you normally ask us to sort of recommend games that we've been playing and so on and so forth. But
if you want to, you can.
Yeah, no, I was just been playing Final Fantasy 12.
FIFA.
No, not FIFA. Far from FIFA.
Download FIFA now.
I'm about 50 hours in, and I've got a couple of books as well that came through from Amazon, which I'm reading as well. So
nice.
Passing my time, and I think I took up a lot of your airtime today, so apologies for that. And if I bored anyone to tears. And I thought it was fantastic having a female presence on the show. I'm always an advocate for that. Otherwise, as I say, I'd have to cross on a Friday. Sorry.
Plus, you keep Cerebral in check.
If you know any female content creators you want to come on the show, let me know, and I'll try and get them on the show.
Removable Sanity, get him on.
I have reached out to certain creators and they're not interested, but I do try. I do. I'll try and get more female podcasters on.
PewDiePie.
Mitsuko.
Oh, we've had,
we
we need to go back on again.
We do, yeah. We need to sort that out. We do. But yeah, no, thanks VJ for coming on. It was good.
Thank you.
And cerebral Paul, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
There he
Great
is.
fun. Good conversation. No yelling and screaming tonight. So hey, it was all good. You know.
Yeah, it was all good.
Damn it! I'll try next time.
I know.
I have linked cerebral. I have linked your GoFundMe page because I know you need some help.
Okay.
Your chair. I've just linked it in the description just so people know if they want to help you
thank
out.
you. And also, don't forget, a week from tomorrow is my very special and in some ways important show on the Xbox Ambassador channel. So if you have not subbed over there on Twitch, or not subbed but followed, please go do so. It's going to be next Thursday, noon Pacific, which I think is like 8 p.m. your time, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
For 2
Do it now.
hours.
Sub.
And we're gonna have
Sounds
some
good.
different kind of disabled gamers on there. We're gonna discuss disabled gamers, accessibility in gaming, things like that. It's actually a very important topic. And if you follow me on Twitter, cerebralpaul1, pinned to my page is the information of that little get together. So there you go.
Amen.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for updating everyone. It's always good, and it's a good chance for you to expose yourself to the community. Yeah.
Easy.
Whoa.
Easy.
Whoa.
Hey, I
Right.
got in trouble for
You
that.
know what,
I got in trouble for that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Content creation wise, I didn't mean that. Probably the wrong word. Wrong word.
Well, that's now just his subs have just dropped by half now. Come on, yeah.
He's just trying to make up for Tushi not being on the show.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
So be sure to join Stubbs on his OnlyFans channel.
Yeah.
That's all.
Removable. Thanks for coming on.
Again, thank you very much for having me, and it was great to have Fox on. It was brilliant to have her on again. We more ladies if possible. Any really more people in general. I'm always happy to talk to anybody. You know me, but I also appreciate from coming on here. Those of you who probably have noticed that Tushi and Animated isn't on at the moment. So as far as I'm aware of, if you follow those two, I'm sure a good chunk of you already do. I think they're doing another fantastic community night happening Friday and Saturday. I don't unfortunately know which games they are. I think he has posted
Yeah, if you give me a second, if you give me a second, I'll tell you.
Friday.
Okay, well, hang on. We'll just pass it on. Yep. Is it Saturday as well?
It's Friday, Dirt 5 and Knockout City, and Saturday, Uno and it's a poker game.
Prominence Poker.
That's it. Prominence
Poker.
Which was great fun last week when we did it. So yeah, if you, it's
so
really
do
is
please
like sitting around a poker table. Yeah.
And do come along and have a chat because I think are you going to be on there, Cerebral? If you can. Yep. So see if you can win against Cerebral. Because I guarantee you he's got a very good poker face from what I've heard. I'm not saying anything else. But yes, no, thank you very much for having me on. Very much appreciative. If just you want to find me or listen to me moan or talk on Twitter, I'm on there. And I'm also on Minds and on YouTube under the name Removal Sanity. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on. And I'd like to give a shout out to ukdazarus, who was in the chat earlier. During the week.
Oh, during the midweek. During the war.
No, during the week. It was so on Monday. So on Friday, he done a charity stream for.
Yep, that's right.
The Stroke Association, and he managed to raise £500, and that's an incredible amount of money. He was very impressed that he did it. And if you missed the stream and you want to go and watch it again, or you want to donate a bit more, I have the link in the description, as the link stays active for a month. So yeah, he's done very well there, because obviously Daz a year and a half ago he had a stroke, and he's made a very good recovery so far. He's not 100%, but he's walking and he's doing good. He's obviously still progressing, but he's getting there. It's a hard thing to go through. Him and his family have been through a hell of a lot, and it was just something Daz wanted to do to give back to others that need help.
Helped
from
him out
this,
so much. Yeah.
Yeah, the Stroke Association, and you can still donate. So the link is in the description for that. If you want to donate, you don't have to, but he's raised over £500 so far. But yeah, I just thought I'd give Daz a shout out because it's quite an incredible thing to do. I mean, even he was shocked he managed to get the actual 500. But yeah, he's done really well, he has. But yeah, shouts to ukdazarus. Please donate if you can. But yeah,
Where can we find you, Stubbs?
you can find me on this channel. Please subscribe, and you can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and most podcast services now. If you're on Apple Podcasts, if you want to help the algorithm, please leave Midweek Gaming a 5-star review. It helps on Apple Podcasts. But yeah, thank you. And if you want to check out a good stream, Friday night, Indie Gamers doing his a 2,000 subscriber thank you stream at 8 p.m. UK time. Not sure what the other times are, but 8 p.m. UK time. He's going to be streaming some games, I presume, or having a chat, but that should be fun anyway. Just thought I'd give that a shout out because Indie Game has done incredibly well. To hit 2,000 subscribers, he produces great content over there. And if you haven't subscribed to him, please go over and subscribe and watch his content if you love the indie games. So yeah, he's a very good creator to follow.
The very best.
He is the indie master. All hail indie gamer. But yes, anyway, I'd like to thank you all for stepping in. And no, sorry, I was actually wrong there. Sorry, it's an indie quiz and giveaways. Should be fun, that should be. So he's not streaming at all. He's
giving away one of Removable's fancy dresses.
Giveaways. But it does sound good. Congratulations on 2,000 subs. But anyway, hope you all had a fun tonight. I appreciate you all coming in and stopping in and having a listen. I appreciate all the support on the channel. If you want to subscribe to the channel, get us to 1,000 subs. We may hit it one day. You never know. That would be good. But yeah, thanks everyone, and we will see you next week. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone. See you next week.
Bye. It's nice.